Hello everyone, my name is Hisham. I'm the owner of Clemson Aeronautics, where we make the riveting and dimpling systems. Today is Sunday, January 31st, 2021, and I came into the shop today specifically just so I can make this video, which is the last video of my rudder, which is the summary, to give some of the people out there that are building an RV-14 just a general idea, things to look for while they are building their rudder. So if you have not watched the whole series of building the rudder, this one would be a good video to watch all the way to the end, so you would have an idea of things that you might miss during your build, and it would make your life a lot easier. I would like to start by making a couple of notes that you need to know. I have made a 4-inch no-hole yoke, and this is the prototype that if you go back in the videos, you're gonna see me using this to make my rudder. After I made the prototype and I tested it well, I made 7 more, only 7, and these are branded the Clemson Aeronautics brand. I don't know if you can see that, but they are going on sale on Tuesday because tomorrow they will be black oxided and will be ready to ship on Tuesday. So we have only 7, so we're gonna sell only 6 of them, and we're gonna keep 1 in our shop. Now I would like to show you the end result, which is my rudder. One of the important things that you're gonna run into is riveting the trailing edge, and this is the result of my trailing edge. I don't know, I hope you guys can see how straight it is, and this is because of the care that I put into it, and because I was using my, it was like cheating. I was using my machine to rivet the trailing edge. I did not touch this rudder with a rivet gun or a bucking bar, so that made it so easy for me to get a very nice result out of it. So this is my rudder. Now I'm gonna start with my notes. The first note that I made is something that you won't find a lot of people talking about that, but it is important. It is very important for anybody that's building an airplane. When you are using your buffing wheel to buff aluminum, you need to be careful about the amount of heat you put into the part. So if you are buffing a big part and you're really putting pressure on the buffer wheel, you need to be careful, because most likely that part is heat treated to a certain strength. So if you put a lot of heat into the part in one spot, you're going to be annealing it. So you need to be careful with that. And you need to be careful with the buffing wheel, not to use steel, then use aluminum after that, because the steel will be embedded in the buffing wheel. Then after that, if you use it on aluminum, it will put steel particles in there. Please be careful. If you are starting your build, you're gonna run into this hole right here, which is dimpled, and it is for a CS4 rivet. That rivet have 120-degree angle, not 100. So you have to be careful. There is a special die for that. So and I've seen there is a bag full of those rivets. So at some point or another, you're gonna have to buy the die, and it is expensive. So if you look at my videos, you're gonna see what I've done. I did not have the die, and I used a rivet itself to dimple this one because I needed to move on. So you have to make your own decision on that one. A third on my list is knot plates. Knot plates come in different shapes and forms. Locking knot plates, like in the case of the counterbalance here, these are self-locking knots. So you put the screw in there and it is hard to go through. It is because self-locking. So please don't stick a tap in there and run it through, because if you do that, you ruin the locking mechanism for that screw. Then later on, this could vibrate off. The counterweight can be loose if this screw falls off, and it could get, well, dangerous. I mean, if the counterweight falls off and it is loose inside that compartment, it can get a little wild. So be careful with that. One of the mistakes some folks will do out there, overlapping the skins. You have to understand and be careful with it that the left skin overlaps the right skin, both in the entire edge right here and on top here. So be careful with that, not to mix them up. Making a break in the skin, it is very important, and it is very, very important, especially for the trailing edge, because if that is opened here, the edge is not gonna close. So you need to make a nice break here and here and both skins so they can meet together. Now, the break that you are going to make for the front end of the rudder, this area right here, you're gonna make the break in the left rudder skin. Now, bear in mind, this area here, the right skin is going to be folded down and stuff like that. You might need to make the break a little heavier break than what you made for the trailing edge. So be careful with that, and you might want to do the break before you rivet the skin, because you're gonna get into this area right here. If you riveted this part, you're gonna get in with your pliers, the brake pliers, that you put the brake into that skin, and you're gonna hit that area. You're not gonna be able to do it correctly with the pliers. You might have to use the forming tool to do that. But the pliers does a much better job. So if you can do that break before you rivet the skin, that would be a very good thing. Now, this is a very important note. So be careful. When you're closing these skins, bending them, you're bending them according to the form, okay? And if you notice there is a flat, then you have the curve. And that flat is because this area, they don't want you to bend it close to here because you're gonna create stress in that corner. So this skin's supposed to go out a little bit, which I did not do. I could not get it to do that. So I'm just explaining the point. It's a little better here, for instance, and here than here. I have to work on it. But this is important. The other thing that is important, your right skin. When you fold the left skin over it, the right skin might be pointing this way. So when you rivet it, they are not flat with each other. You might have to start by holding both skins by hand or something. Then you get deeper, you might have to put a tool in there to reach to make sure that the both skins are laying on top of each other before you pull that pop rivet. Because if you don't, it's not gonna rivet. It's gonna hold the rivet in the left skin but not in the right skin. So you have to be careful, make sure they are laying very close and touching each other. And let me tell you, the clecos, don't pull them enough. They are just spaced, the rivets are spaced way too far. So if you have a cleco here and a cleco here and you're trying to rivet that one, the skin might not be laying flat on top of each other. So be careful that you might have to put something, you might need help to stick a stick in there and pull the skins together to touch each other before you pull that rivet. Be careful. So I've mentioned this one before, scuffing clad aluminum. Be careful because the clad, which is pure aluminum, is very, very thin. Don't scuff too much before you prime, so be careful with that one. When you prime the skins, make sure you scuff the area at the edge where the trailing edge is, this area here. You have to be careful. You have to scuff this area, then put a tape on it before you prime your skin so the primer doesn't get on the area that it is that you scuffed, okay, and it stays clean. And I also scuffed the wedge itself, which helped with it with the glue. So I thought that was a great idea, and it's something good to mention. Okay, this one I'm sure you guys will do fine with that, but I just thought to mention, when you are laying the left skin over the right skin, you have to position the stiffeners in such a way so in the forward end it have to be below the shear clip, and in the middle here have to be on top of the other stiffener. So be careful, read up on that, and be careful when you drop, because sometimes when you drop the skin in place, they don't fall in the right spot. So be careful before you start riveting. Riveting this plastic piece, you have to be careful. It's a blind rivet, but the rivet goes inside a counter bore. So you have to make sure that your rivet puller can go in there and push the head all the way in before you start pulling the rivet. Also, the nut plate that holds the counterbalance, you can dimple that nut plate so you can have it nice and flush on top of that little tab that you have. Okay, here's an important one. This is a R00918, and in the middle of all of this, when you're putting the horn brace in place, it will be after you put these pop rivets in. You'll find that this rivet is in the way, keeping you from putting that horn brace in. So it might be a good idea to pretty much leave this rivet, maybe 1 or 2 rivets, leave them out, and after you put the brace, you can rivet it back in, because it was really tough. And I've seen I have seen some videos of a gentleman while he's trying to put that thing back in, and how frustrated he was because of that. So be careful with that. Grinding lead is is kind of a chore, because it's very gummy, very soft material, and if it's soft and flakes off, it would be nice, but it is gummy. So the best way to do it is actually with a file, the edge of a file. And really, the only area is just not the 2 forward rivets up there. That is the only area that you need to clear some of that to get it in place. The rest is not a very big problem. It is also worthy of mentioning that I put that 3M tape underneath the counterbalance before I placed it in place, and I thought that was a good idea. The only reason I'm making this particular comment is because I've seen some videos with people working on their airplanes, and they're a bit rough with tools and stuff like that. So you need to be careful with sharp objects around your airplanes, because any scratches usually leads to cracks, and cracks leads to structure failure pretty much. So be careful with that. This is pretty much all the comments that I have for building the rudder. So I'm going to take the rest of the day off, and I just want to mention it one more time. Our yokes, 4-inch yokes, no hole, will be ready to ship on Tuesday, and today's price is $100. You're not gonna get this anywhere else. I made it for the number 3 rivet. It will rivet number 4, and I've done it. I've used it on number 4 just in testing, not on my airplane. Okay, I tested the number 3 a lot. I've riveted a lot of rivet, and you can see it in the videos using my prototype. Okay, now this is even much tougher than my prototype. So these will be ready to ship on Tuesday. $100. Give us a call. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.